Sabine Hassenfelder also made a video, which again is just a ridiculous argument. We'll go through that as well. And she calls it a 9 out of 10 on her BS meter. But as you'll see, she says that the technique could actually work. So the science is there, but she just doesn't believe it. And I'm sure didn't even go through the actual conference at all.
Yeah, I don't know that. You don't know that. Now, if, monumental if, he's right, and she didn't go through the entire conference like I did, and still produced a video to call out the finding and everything as BS, then I would agree with him, regardless of the fact that he's my opponent now. I can still be intellectually honest and say I would agree with him, but I don't know if she actually did watch the entire conference or not. Maybe we can ask her before we make a statement of fact like that, because if she did watch the entire conference and still isn't convinced, that's absolutely fine as a position to have. She didn't watch it, then I agree with him.
So thanks for being here. Let's go through it.
Let's go.
Plato files. Okay, this is YouTuber Metatron. He has almost 1 million subscribers, and this debunking video has almost 250,000 views.
He's gonna call it debunking video through the entire thing. I think we established that. Yeah, I haven't got a clue how I reached almost 1 million subscribers, but here we are. Thank you so much, Noble Ones, for subscribing. In fact, click the subscription button. Let's go.
250,000 views already. So I think most people are referencing this or Sabine Hassenfelder. Right. So let's go through and see what he actually says here.
Fair. Returning to the technical explanation, it tells us that these SAR, the way they're using it, are transmitting impulses, specifically electromagnetic impulses, to the Earth in order to receive echoes of the sounds and vibration underneath the ground.
Okay. I can tell he probably hasn't ever heard of SAR technology. We used it in the fighter world all the time. My guess is he's never heard of it or used it before. Okay, but he's going to give some technical explanation on it. But he does give a reasonable explanation. Okay, so it is SAR satellite.
Okay, so yes, I've never used SAR technology, I think, of course. But note what he says there. Very interesting choice of words. The way he built this point appears to indicate that what he's trying to say is, why does this guy, Metatron, who has never used SAR tech, attempt to explain something he doesn't understand or never used? Can we agree that that's the point? Do you think that's a fair representation of what he's trying to point out here, as a way to already direct his audience perception of what I have to say in a negative way? So this guy doesn't even know how to use SAR, and yet he decides to explain it? That's not what I'm doing there, which is why I'm telling you, I think Chris Leto, I actually heard the name, misunderstood what my video was. At that point, I wasn't trying to explain how the technology works. I was translating what Mr. Biondi said for the people who don't understand Italian. That's why I got it right, as you say yourself.
But he does give a reasonable explanation.
I got it right because I'm not trying to explain it. I'm translating. So yeah. The idea, why does this guy try to do something he doesn't understand, falls flat already. I'm translating.
Satellites from space, which is, but basically what the scientists are arguing is you can get a much better accuracy. So sub-millimeter, they say 0.01 millimeter Doppler shift, and they're listening and getting acoustic changes under the ground because sound travels differently through different materials, right? So it'll travel faster through solids, then it will through liquids, then it will through gases. And if your material is warmer, it'll actually travel faster through warmer material. I think that's because
thank you for that. I'm going to use it later. Put a pin.
You actually, the molecules are pushing against each other faster, right? You have denser energy, and that's their main argument. So he does get that correct.
But now let's talk about the validation of this technique, which he talks about on 1 hour, 44 minutes in. Now, up to this point, I'm not liking the presentation one bit, but I want to be fair. As you know, that's what I always do.
I love this. So he says, okay, I'm not biased at all up until this point, but I'm biased.
Massive straw man. Massive straw man. Let me respond to that. You accuse me of bias. Let's define bias. From the Merriam-Webster, a personal and sometimes unreasoned judgment. If I had gone into this conference thinking, oh, these are just a bunch of fools, and then I proceeded to systematically ignore all the evidence presented regardless of the quality thereof, then yes, that would be bias. Here, however, I'm just stating that I don't like this conference. Up to this point, that's over an hour in already, so the judgment is not unreasoned, and again, I'm only applying it up to this point. false equivalence. First and foremost, I want to ask you this question, Chris, if I can call you Chris. Why are you beginning your debunking video of my work on minute 17? What about what I said in the previous 17 minutes of my video, where I approach the beginning of the conference, the introduction of the speakers, and the entirety of the presentation from the first speaker, Armando May? You said nothing about it. Does that mean you agree with everything I say up to minute 17? Because if that's the case, then it seems like you didn't really have much to debunk, did you? Why did you decide to focus on the one speaker that, in my own words, I consider to be the best speaker of the entire conference? Mr. Biondi is the only one I liked. So yes, up to this point, I was already over an hour in the conference, an entire hour. That's plenty of time to have an idea on whether or not I'm liking the way this is being represented. As an educator, 10 years of teaching. That's what I used to do. You're an F-16 pilot, I'm not going to question your ability to pilot a military aircraft. I'm an educator. So yes, I am judging their ability to present a conference. And I think they did a very poor job at doing that, particularly the first speaker and then the third one, Armando May and Corrado Malanga. And one of the things that is often used against these gentlemen when it comes to this new technology that they use, which of course has been seen with a certain level of skepticism, is the fact that professional scientists say, well, you need to test this tech with other structures to see if it works first, and then you should apply it under the pyramid. But
okay, and yeah, we don't need professional scientists to tell us this. Okay, so this is just obvious. I think in today's age, we rely too much on professional experts, right? Professional scientists, if you will, and we believe everything they say instead of going and looking at the source data and using our own brains. I think if anything, you've watched my channel over the last 4 years now, it is learn, please, to think for yourselves and don't just take the expert opinions, because experts have always been proven in the past to be incorrect.
All right, I'm going to use your words. If anything, if you look at my channel over the last 12 years, you'll see that I often challenge experts and professors and academics when I believe that they're using their position and title and authority to push an agenda or a message. Like this guy, for example, or this professor here, or these lies that I call out in the University of Chicago, and so forth and so on, or this guy here. So believe it or not, when it comes to this, just because they're experts, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and check the data file yourself and double check what they're saying. We are in agreement, but he didn't even take the time to check my channel before he decided that, no, I'm the guy who says, believe the experts every time. Once again, you want to debunk me, you have to vet your information.
I'm at all costs, and they will cast people out that disagree with them, right? As we've seen, and I'll show at the end about cosmology, how ridiculous our current cosmological argument is.
They claim that they did. So, 1 hour, 45 minutes, as you said. And I would like to underline, he didn't say this, but here I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm actually defending their points, because people said they did improve this technology and they didn't test it with anything but the pyramid, and that's nonsense. And even though I do not like them one bit, still, for fairness and intellectual honesty, I'm actually defending them here, and I'm saying, no, during the conference they did show that they used the technology. I don't know how he didn't see that, but here we are.